Hey, morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, everybody.
Well, that didn't work out like I wanted it to. Killing me, Smalls.
Morning, Crow.
Hey, hey.
Gotta say, I love the beard style today.
Thank you. Everyone could please sign in on the agenda. And if you have any items you wish to discuss today, please add them in. Monkeying around with some pasting. I should have all that nonsense done in a moment. We'll get rolling in just 1 minute. Please add any opens to the agenda, your desire. When I get that cable, Dave, it's going to be amazing.
If you say so.
Amazing. Just wait till meetings next week.
You're setting the bar awful high. And considering your track record with implementing new gadgets into your system setup.
It's going to be great.
No doubt.
I need this cable so that I can reroute my computer audio through my Rodecaster. And then all will be amazing.
I'm sure that will go seamlessly.
It will. All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the January 25th edition of our Education SIG. Do we have any new friends today that wanted to say hello and introduce themselves? Can I please get some assistance with taking notes today?
I'll do that.
Thank you, Sal. Are you in a proper office?
I'm in like a Hilton today. Yeah.
Oh.
Hello, I'm not in my house.
I am snowed in my house right now. Dislike. All right. Please add your opens down below. We'll get down to them in a second. The major update for today is that there is no update from the TAC on reviewing the plan yet. Although my friend Bob sent a harshly worded note to the TAC members to please review the outstanding PRs I have. So hopefully this week we will start to get some feedback on what they like, what we might need to change, and what next steps would be to get it to the GB. Next up, I would love to ask Jay or Christine, could you just give us a brief update on the DEI committee?
Okay, I can give an update.
I was on mute. I talked for a long time. Just go ahead, Christine.
All right, okay. So as written in the notes, we had our first official kickoff meeting was it last week? Yeah, and
Yes.
yeah. So basically what we did mostly is just think about 2023 and see where we wanted to go. And so it was a combination of level setting where we had just kind of briefly been, and looking ahead to 2023, we went ahead and started talking about what we can do to see what was going on within the existing LF community and see where we wanted to go. Most of the conversation was centered around that. Some of the highlights there was looking to see if we could see what else was going on within the OpenSSF, getting support from the OpenSSF leaders in the community in terms of supporting some of the education work that was going on, especially around how do we make sure that we are actually able to support these communities. We also looked into what are some of the partnerships and communities and organizations that we can partner with, such as Black Girls Hack, Latinas in Cyber. And then we also looked at what we can do to make the OpenSSF materials accessible to some of the groups that are underrepresented. What else did we discuss? Oh yeah, we also wanted to look into starting to talk to specific, kind of like focus on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 universities that we would want to consider in the short list to start communicating with on some of the opportunities that were available. And there was a couple of action items related to just making sure that we have like a short list of organizations that we want to partner with in various capacities, whether they're like focusing on mentorship or some of the gaps that we see along the way. And also a couple of other action items related to identifying the university and the partners that we want to work with. And then we also wanted to frame into what we wanted to work, because we wanted to be more action oriented. So we wanted to frame into what we want to do in the short term, in the midterm, in the long term, and defining what that means is short term, 30 days, 60 days, or 90. And in each of these, what are some of the activities that we want to plan? And some of the short-term activities meant identifying the groups that we want to work with. Some of the midterm was about around the activities. And we also wanted to focus on Open Source Summit North America and what can we do to potentially highlight some of the work that we had been doing, and then have some activities that we wanted to do at that point. For example, we want to go ahead and have a talk on some of the work that we've been doing, have a talk on where we want to go, and potentially do a birds of a feather where we get some feedback from some of the folks that are in those in the conferences, and not just in that particular conferences, but what are the other conferences that we can attend where we get some of the feedback to help shape the direction that we want to go. Is there anything I missed? Probably did.
I just wanted to give a reference because we gotta submit those CFPs like early February, but I strongly recommend for OSS, do not submit this in the DE&I. It'll be lost, wasted. Submit DE&I stuff to the leadership summit. That's where we should be communicating this. I'd really recommend that. And if you want help with the abstract, let me know.
I second both of Sal's statements, but first off, the deadline is February 5th. If anyone's interested, I have a sheet where I'm collaborating with assorted people on call for papers for the North America Summit, which could be reused for the European or the Asia Summit later. And I talked with Yesenia on Monday, and she is super excited about a birds of a feather. So I think that would be pretty amazing to at least get that. But I like all the ideas that the group talked about, and we definitely need to see if we can get 2 or 3 sessions submitted out to that conference. And there's the leadership conference, I agree, but there's a ton of other micro conferences as well, so we can think about other potential opportunities. But if anyone wants help, I'm glad to help facilitate massaging any abstract and helping shepherd getting things through the submission process.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we're gonna Jay and I kind of synced up yesterday, and we were gonna at least submit to that document that you have, Probe, at least the birds of the feather, and so good stuff, Sal. So we'll put it in the leadership summit, and I know that I think Probe also suggested doing like kind of like a DEI update in the OpenSSF micro summit as well.
They're still doing. Unsurprisingly, they're still getting organized around OpenSSF Day. But as that happens, I think we should, if we had the abstract ready, we can just pass it over very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Christy, you didn't miss anything. I
Okay.
want you to know that.
Okay. Thanks.
And I'll put a link to the notes for the CFP. Any questions or comments around the DE&I update?
Just like logistically, are we confident we'll have our feedback on the mobilization plan before we have to submit those? Because narratively, that's a big difference for me.
Well, the plan is fully open. If anyone was interested in weaving in our specific goals around DE&I or anything, the plan is still open for PRs. And even if after the TAC starts reviewing it, we still have that opportunity before the GB. I would expect we have about a month on the plan. And irregardless of the plan, I still think we can continue activities like creating new content, the DE&I committee, like trying to establish a mentorship program of our own or of aligning with other things. So there's a lot of good work we can continue until the plan happens.
Okay.
All right, here is the CFP. All right, let's talk about Open UK, and then we'll talk about the Intel donations. So who would like to talk about Open UK first?
Is that me? I assume that was my note. Okay, so I am giving a keynote at Open UK. It's got a bunch, I'm sure you're aware, Brian's gotten all super involved in it. But I am just putting pitches out. I went and talked to Michael from Alpha Omega. I was talking to Rebecca from Rust. I just want to sit there because I'm giving a talk, said, how do we fix OS security by 2030? I know we don't. But if we were trying, I want to know what we want to surface and sort of highlight as things that were like interesting, good best practices that we surfaced over the last year. And like genuinely just literally the mobilization budget, because I'm speaking to other governments about how to behave this way. So I just really want and I think that CFP page might help a lot, but what do we want to surface there that we're genuinely, one, proud of and want to highlight, but secondarily, in a space where you've got several dozen governments' eyes on this work, what do we want to recommend that they be paying more attention to, both eyes and finance-wise?
What are the group's thoughts? So many thoughts. Tactically, we can look at the 2022 report that Jennifer and the marketing folks put out about the summary of the foundation activities. Like best practices, we had some really good, very useful guides that could immediately be picked up and used. And those aren't necessarily funding related, but if governments were looking for good things to start to encourage people to do, those guides are nice. Alpha and Omega did a lot of work, especially around large foundation platform type things like Eclipse and Node.js and other large kind of project ecosystem things. We wrote the plan. We have some great ideas, but nothing has actually happened yet. But I will commit to spend a little bit of time, and I can shoot you an email with my thoughts, Sal, if I can think of anything that would be useful from a public policy government perspective.
Yeah, genuinely, anyone on the call, as your thoughts come through, just send me like bullet points on Slack or email if you want to. But yeah, genuinely, it's just narratively in that space. It's a really good opportunity. And I do want to use the template and intention behind that mobilization plan to recommend we do similar in other countries. So let's see what we can do.
Hi. I have been somewhat involved with that event as well. Just wanted to echo those thoughts. I think the other thing that is interesting about that event is that it's going to be bringing together a lot of different constituent groups. Like there will be people from government, UK government in particular, because Open UK has deep links into kind of like UK government. And I think there's an opportunity to maybe listen to not just lead with a message of, hey, this is what US government is doing, you know, why don't you do the same thing, but kind of like listen to what UK government or UK people are saying about some of these things. But I think also there will be a strong representation from the developer community there, open source developer community. So there's a unconference track as well, which could be an opportunity to get the word out. There's a lot of good stuff happening there, basically. So yeah, I'm going to be there. I may be sitting at the sneak desk for some period of time, telling people everything I know about Sneak. So
Giving out Sneak stocks.
Yeah, I can get or stickers or what have you. Yes, hats. But yeah, I'm happy to help in whatever way I can.
Awesome. Yeah, so if anyone has thoughts, please post them into our Slack so that Sal and Dan can have those at hand, and we'll think about the larger narrative. And I agree, at least for those of us here in the States, I had the opportunity to be at the formation of the LF EU meeting, and open source is handled, they partner very differently in Europe, where there's just much more government involvement. And I think it would be an excellent opportunity to listen and kind of hear that perspective and to see how we might be able to provide value for citizens everywhere.
Cool.
All right. Let us move on to a potential piece of work for us. One of the items in the mobilization plan was to go bother the member organizations to donate security education content. I have been in contact with those people inside of Intel, and I have an initial list. They gave me a list of about 60 internal classes. It's a mixture of classes, like TED Talky style videos and outsourced content like LinkedIn Education. But I went through and called out what I think are some of the most relevant pieces for this group. And then in the queue, they are nearly finalizing a C and C++ secure development guide and compiler guidelines. They're also working on Java and a couple other languages. So within the next quarter or so, we should also have access to those contents as donations. And I've also encouraged the Intel engineers for the compiler option piece. We have a project over in best practices on a compiler guide. So I'm going to see if I can get those folks to show up and start contributing directly to that guide. But I've posted a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I posted 9 candidates. Then I'm going to try to get copies of this content, especially the instructor-led ones. I should be able to get the course material and the instructor script to be able to review it. But if anything is of interest here to this group, we think could be woven into our plan efforts and integrated into our docket of classes we want to make, let me know and I can arrange a viewing session. And then if there's ultimately anything we like, I'll tag them, and then it'll go through an internal legal review to scrub out Intel trademarks and whatnot. But then they'll hand it over to us to use. So I will.
I have just a quick question. They've got this,
Yes.
like, one of the courses here is the secure development mindset. I think you just have it done twice. I was trying to see if we had two
Maybe,
different things.
probably.
Okay,
Because
cool.
I have like this 300-line spreadsheet I posted everything off of a SharePoint on. So yeah, that's probably a dupe.
Cool. I'm gonna take out the second one.
All
Looks
right.
interesting though.
Also, Crow, when you looking at adding your Intel people, I'll send you a list because I sent a list to David Wheeler to add some Gen 2 people, and he never got back to me. And they asked me about that the other day.
Sad. I also pointed my Intel training people to SKF, and their eyes got as big as plates because they were looking at trying to develop our own labs for around. We use a martial arts dojo metaphor for our classes internally, and so for the green and the black belts, you have to go through and do a practical exam. You have to do coding examples, and they were very excited about potentially looking at SKF and maybe either leveraging it or even potentially maybe donating some content, or at least putting some things on the backlog they'd like to see.
Do you guys have the link to the new SKF or just the old SKF?
I just had the derpy, old, crusty, old one.
Yeah, show
Let
us the
me,
new one. I want to see the new one.
Let me send it.
And I just pointed them to the website. I'm not going to try to pretend I know how to run the demo. And
Oh, that's like a 3-hour conversation.
I'm much too busy trying to find a cable so I can have magic next time.
You know, if you're running Linux and you're using Pipewire, there's like a patch tool they have to like redirect audio inputs.
Hey, Linux is not on the corporate approved list of operating systems I'm allowed to run.
What?
Really?
Good God.
Yay, big company.
I mean, you can't build your own distro.
I, in my own time, I'm welcome to do that.
Fair.
All right, so I would the homework for you folks is I would look through the list, and if there's anything that looks interesting, I will work to get that material kind of as a pre-read, so we can scoot through it and see if there's something we would like to potentially absorb into our body of knowledge. Randall.
Question, you being the Intel guy, could we get Clear Linux involved? Because I know that Clear Linux is like, a lot of people think that Clear Linux is like, you know, the bee's knees when it comes to like making software, like the authority of making like the most optimized software in the tool chain.
Who thinks that?
You'd be surprised.
Huh. Yes, I can reach out to Thomas and the Clear Linux folks. Much like anything in open source, I'll be much more successful if I had a well-researched and educated question with a purpose and desired outcome, as opposed to, hey, you all want to collab?
Well, I know from a compiler settings point of view, because a lot of people come to Gentoo trying to run what they assume Clear Linux is running, and it doesn't work out for them. So, like,
I'm
they
glad
have
to
some
do
really
that
good
and
stuff, but yeah,
broker that and try to get them involved. But I would need to, if I had a
I'll try to
specific
put something
purpose.
together.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of interest in Clear Linux and the magic they do, and
Well,
I know that one of the critiques is
Thomas
that
is really
like a
happy.
lot. a lot of it happens behind closed doors, and it's like not really. It's just not the most straightforward thing out there, but it's out there.
I will rekindle my relationship with those folks, and I will eagerly await some directed, outcome-driven questions.
I will. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem at all. All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the donated content? For all you other member organizations, I would strongly encourage you to go out and talk to your AppSec dev folks and see if they're willing to donate some stuff too. All right. Does anyone have any other topics they would like to discuss today? All right. With that, if you're very bored and you like to have meetings with me, in a half hour, we are having a source code management best practices guide call, which will be amazing. And then at 11 a.m. Eastern, if you are into the vulnerabilities, we are talking with ChainGuard about Vex and the possible OpenSSF adoption of some Vex tools, and start to promoting that whole awesomeness.
You said that
Is
was
that,
11 Eastern?
11 Eastern.
It's on the OSSF schedule, that VEX meeting.
It's part of the vulnerability disclosures working group,
Ah, it's the one
and we
disclosures.
will
Okay.
be debating there if the working group will vote to adopt it. I think they will.
Yeah.
And I think I have a friend that will help me run that. He said, looking at his
Hey.
Brady Bunch window.
Yeah.
About that life.
All right, all. Well, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day, and we will all talk soon.
Sounds
See you at
good. Good to
the
see y'all.
SCM discussion.
All right, good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. Ciao.
Yeah, I'll be there too.
Oh.